Thus, think not that I am come to send peace on earth.
What the Lord say?
Think not that I am come to send peace on earth.
This is what Yahweh said out of his own mouth. Right? What color are the letterings, brother?
Red.
This is red lettering. This is the words of Hamashiach Yahweh. Right? Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. Read on.
I came not to send peace, but a sword.
But a what?
But a sword.
But a sword, man. So the Lord is coming back with that sword, right, to wreak havoc upon the nations. Right? And that's in Daniel the 2nd chapter. Also, give me Luke chapter 19 and verse 27.
Book of Luke, chapter 19 and verse 27, and reads thus. But those mine enemies.
What the Lord say?
But those mine enemies.
Right, so Yahweh has enemies on the earth.
Right.
Who are the Lord's enemies to other nations? His chief enemy is the so-called white man.
That's
the
right.
man that's ruling the earth right now.
That's
the earth
right.
is given into the hand of the wicked.
Right.
That's
Job
right.
chapter 9, verse 24. Right? So Yahweh has it out for the so-called white man, in lack of better terms. Keep reading.
But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them.
And Esau don't want the Lord to reign over them. Even your average Edomite don't want a so-called black man reigning over them. Even on the low level. Right? When Jake get these higher up positions, Esau hates it, man.
Yeah.
That nigga, he don't deserve that position. Dreads, right? Look, his hair is dirty, right? And they scoff at Jake, man. And Jake got more sense than Esau.
That's
Right? Jake has way more sense than the so-called white man. When Jake is in a position of power, he knows how to lead, man. The so-called white man don't know how to lead. Everything be out of order, right? Be destruction going on, right? Chemtrails in the air, pollution, right? I believe in Ohio, 3,500 fish was put to death, man, by way of that oil, not oil spill, but that chemical spill, man, from the trains, right? So the so-called white man doesn't know how to lead the earth, right? Keep reading.
Bring hither and slay them before me.
And do what?
And slay them before me.
You see that? So the Lord is going to slay Esau before him, man. He's going to be destroyed by the Lord, man.
That's right.
Right? That I yield.
I just want to touch on a few points in Esther, about Haman, So let's get the book of Esther, let's go to Esther chapter 2 and verse 21.
Book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 21, and it reads thus. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
So mind you, this is what's finna go down. The servants that keep the doors trying to lay hands on the king, right? Right, you got it.
Verse 22.
And this king Ahasuerus, which is Xerxes in the Persian Empire, which is about 550 BC to 300 BC.
That's right, brother.
Xerxes.
Right? And Salaki, you got to know who these different kings are.
486.
Right? You can't just read the scriptures and say, well, what king is that? Maybe, I don't know. He's just the king. Right? No, you got to read into it and you got to look it up.
And these kings in the scriptures are real life people, man.
That's
Right? These are real life people in history, man.
Yeah, this is not fictional. Because you got you got some low level jakes to say, well, that's a fairy tale.
Yeah, go back to
Right? That never happened in history. Hold on. These are real men in real time.
Xerxes.
Yeah, right. Xerxes.
486 to 465 BC.
Hold on, let me read this. It say the Persian Empire. Xerxes was ruler of the Persian Empire from 486 to 465 BC. Under his rule, the empire was by far the mightiest power in the ancient world, dominating Asia Minor, the East Mediterranean, Egypt, the Near East, and Central Asia.
So Persia had the greatest extent of an empire. Let's get Esther chapter 1 and verse 1. But I wanted to go into that point as well, but you got Esther 1 and 1.
Book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1, and reads thus. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this is Ahasuerus which reigned from India, even unto Ethiopia, over 107 and 20 provinces.
Yeah, 127 provinces.
Go right there.
That's the greatest kingdom, you know, in ancient times.
That's
So they have to look at all this land that they was ruling.
from
Egypt.
Ethiopia to India.
Yep.
There you go.
Right. So it's more on that.
That in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants.
Jump down to verse 3.
I'm already in.
Oh, you can continue.
The power of Persia.
The what?
The power of Persia.
The what?
The power of Persia.
So it's saying in the scripture that this is the Persian Empire in verse 3. You know, you got it.
And Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces, being before him.
And what's the reason why it was so big? Let's go to jump down to verse 22.
Verse 22, and it reads thus. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, and to every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
So they kind of let people do what they do with their idols or with their gods. They let people speak their own languages. They had their own provinces. That's why Persia was such a great kingdom.
That makes
You
sense.
know,
Similar to America, like a melting pot. Where you got all these different kingdoms and they still doing their own thing. They got their own God, they got their own language. Right? But you can come to this kingdom and freak off and do what you want to do.
I just wanted
Freaking
to,
Satan. You got it.
so I just wanted to touch on the point because with the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar, that he was looked at as a guy he wanted to be worshipped. Whereas, like the brother bringing out, the Persians, they kind of let you do your thing. That's where you get the Cyrus Cylinder from, where he let us build the temple. He didn't just specifically do that for Jerusalem. He did that literally for everybody. The Babylonians conquered, go build your temple, do whatever it is you do. But the Lord put that on his spirit solely for Israel.
and then go back to Daniel, the 2nd chapter, where the Lord said that the statue from the head to the clay of the foot will go less in stature over time. Right, so the power that the kings have is weakening over time. Right, it's transferring from like one person to like the people. Now the power is with the people instead of with a king. You know, so
Right.
I wanted to go back to the point of Esther chapter 2 and verse 21.
Esther chapter 2 and verse 21.
You got it.
In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, 2 of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree. And it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
And so this is how Mordecai got a name, you know, amongst the king and the chamberlains and the people that make Haman hate Mordecai because he did the right thing. So all throughout the scriptures, you see that we be chilling in our own land, we be doing our own thing, keeping the commandments, and Esau hate on us. So you got it.
Get Romans chapter 11, verse 4. Right? You know, Israel, we don't bother anyone. Right? We don't bother no one. We just want to keep the commandments. You know, we just want to stay in our own lane and be in our own lane. Right? But you got the so-called white man, you got the nations. They just want to take control of our people, man. So get Romans chapter 11, verse 4. You always had righteous men in the days of old that didn't bow down to the so-called white man. They didn't get down with the nations and their way of doing things. Bring this out, Romans 11 and 4.
Book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 4. But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal.
Right? Agreed.
Even so, then, at this present time also, there is a remnant.
There's a what?
There is a remnant.
So you always had a remnant of men of integrity that didn't bow down to anyone but the Most High God, Yahweh Shemawashah. Right? Read on.
According to the election of grace.
According to the election of grace. I just wanted to bring that up.
You can go to Habakkuk chapter 2 and start at verse 4. So I got a precept on that.
Habakkuk. The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 4, and it reads thus. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith.
And that's quoting in Ecclesiastes about his spirit is not upright in him, right? He got a crooked spirit. That's talking about the so-called white man, right? You can continue on that.
Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man.
He's a what?
He is a proud man.
And that's why Esau is violent in the earth. He's a proud man. Who's more proud than the so-called white man? You got it.
Neither keepeth at home.
He never minds his own business. When they was burned down the temple in first Esdras, that was the Edomites that did that.
Right.
When we was passing through the wilderness in Deuteronomy or in the wilderness,
Right.
they threatened us. They cut off. You read about that in I believe Obadiah. They cut off the crossway, meaning like the women, the children, the old folks, while we was going into the wilderness.
They came out with a sword.
They came out with a sword. We came out with love, you know. So all throughout the scriptures, the so-called Edomites hated us, and it all go back from that ancient hatred that Esau has for us for having a blessing in Genesis. Right, you got it.
Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations.
What do you do?
But gathereth unto him all nations.
What America does?
But gathereth unto him all nations.
So that melting pot, right? Gather to him all nations. But that's what the nations got that from. They got that from the so-called Edomites. You got it.
And heapeth unto him all people.
Right, so we can go back to
Esther chapter 2, verse 5. Right, just to give some more context of what's going on. Who is Mordecai? Who is Esther? Right? Of course, these are our forefathers and foremothers, but what was their tribe? Right, we got to know these things. Bring this up. Esther chapter 2, verse 5.
Book of Esther chapter 2 and verse 5. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew.
A certain what?
A certain Jew.
A certain Jew. Right, so you had the Jews in the days of old. Read on.
Whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
A what?
A Benjamite.
A Benjamite. So the Benjamites were also known as Jews. Right? Also the Levites. You got a point, brother?
Yeah, I had a quick point on Shushan. If you could look that up. It's really Susa. Look up Susa. Or yeah, it'll pop up. Ancient city is cool. It'll pop right up. Just click that. Just wanted to touch on that as well. That's where the palace was. Now, Shushan, I wish it would show it. It's actually in modern, notice let's read. It says Susa, also called Shushan, Greeks, was that Susan, modern Shush, capital of Elam. Like, so these are Elamites, man.
And Shushan just means lily.
Right, so these are Elamites. All right, just to touch on that, because Shushan, the court, is an ancient, it's like ancient Elam, which is located, kind of over there by Iran and in between India. Right, yeah, if you can pull that up on the map. Just wanted to touch on that as well.
Yeah, keep that up too.
We went to we touched the Mordecai. We went to Xerxes first.
No, I thought you were looking up Susa. Where is ancient? Just look up Susa on the map. Type map next to it. Yeah, ancient map. It should pop up. You gotta type in map. And go to it. It's like right next to the Fertile Crescent. Yeah, over in that area, which is around. You see, that's like Persians, Medes, Parthians. Those are all in East Indians, so-called.
Oh, that'll be down there. Oh, Susa, okay.
Susa is right there. That's the capital. That was the capital of the Persians. That's where that's where they had their home, they land at, because they was Edomites. There's an actual precept on it.
If I can find it. I'm using my phone. Brothers can read it. It's where it literally says it.
God.
Brothers got it.
God. You can keep reading on to that, King. That's the chapter 2, verse 6. So again, we established that Mordecai is a Jew of Benjamite, right? A so-called Jamaican. Right? Verse 6, King.
Verse 6. Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter.
His what?
His uncle's daughter.
His uncle's daughter. Read on.
For she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
Took for his own daughter. Right? So that men of integrity did that in the ancient world, man. Right? If your near kin or if your brother passed, hey man, you take his daughter or you take his son, man, and you raise him up as your own. Like the scriptures say, you gotta be a father to the fatherless. Right? And that's in I believe it was Masalim. You got it,
Sorry, point 10.
yeah, that's
Book of Sirach, chapter 4 and verse 10, and it reads thus. Be as a father unto the fatherless, and instead of an husband unto their mother, so shalt thou be as the son of the Most High, and he shall love thee more than thy mother doth.
Go ahead.
Wisdom exalteth her children, and layeth hold of them that seek her.
And it was further when you go down in that chapter. No, I'm thinking the third chapter. The Most High, he blesses those who takes charge and watching over Israel, being a father to the fatherless and adopting them into the family.
I got
A lot of Jake, we do that today. There's a lot of Jakes that do that. Esau rarely do that. They only look out for their own, they don't move in that spirit, But Jake, we do that. People in my family did it. I've heard brothers in the camp, all of that we were fighting, people do that. And that's love, because if they don't go to the family or somebody, someone close, they're going to the system, they go out on the streets, and they get jammed up.
very jammed up. You don't want, hey man, you don't want your brother, daughter, or his son in the system. That's literally wicked, man. If you have the means to take care of them and bring them in, you have to do that.
That go back to the law.
Yeah, let me get that in the law. What you got?
Oh,
King?
yeah, I was about to say, when I was younger, my brother, he had a friend, his moms kicked him out and stuff, and our peoples brought him in. You know what I'm saying? He was no near kin to us, so we still took him in. And we call him cousin to this day, you feel me? Like,
That's right.
it's your family, it's my family.
Yeah,
That's right, brother.
He
That's
all
right.
we know. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
yeah, that's the truth, man. Right? And that's not far-fetched, man. That might be far-fetched for the so-called white man.
Yeah.
I'm not taking him in. Is he gonna pay? My rent is $500 a month for you to rent out this room. All right, that's what the so-called white man do, man. No, you gotta do it out of love. Get Leviticus 25 and 35.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 25 and verse 35.
Right, because the bottom line is people die, man. Parents die. Whether that's in war, right? Being taken captive. People die being taken captive, man. You think somebody's just gonna willfully just get taken captive? No, they have to, ultimately your enemy take you by force. You either gonna fight or you gonna give in. And most likely if you fight, they're gonna put you to death. So people die in war, man. You had widows in the ancient world. You had the fatherless, right? What does that mean? That means someone had to die. You got it, brother.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 25 and verse 35. And if thy brother be waxen poor,
If thy what?
if thy brother be waxen poor,
If thy brother be waxing poor, right?
and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee.
That he may what?
That he may live with thee.
That's playing upon tables. Now that's in the law. Right? Allow your brother to live with you. Right? Your brother might be poor, falling into decay. He has his daughter. You got to take them in through the spirit. You got it, King.
Even in the law, when when like the husband died and his his wife, the brother had to take raise up seed for the brother. Mm-hmm. So he had to marry his brother wife.
That's right. And that's look up widow. Look up the word widow. You got widows in this thing. The Lord set up the system to take care of the widows as well. The type was also for the fatherless and the widows. That's in Deuteronomy the 26th chapter. That's a welfare system, right?
Right.
So, because ultimately, if you're a widow, you're at a disadvantage financially. I mean, that's no secret. A so-called single mother, she's not going to make, they're not going to make as much as a two-parent home. You don't think the Lord understands that? That's why the Lord set up that system to help out the poor and less fortunate. So it's a widow, a woman who has lost her spouse by death and has not remarried. Right? Now she can remarry according to Romans the 7th chapter. But nonetheless, this is a woman who has lost her spouse by death. There's many ways you can lose your spouse, man. Chiefly in war. Right? It could be some kind of sickness, he fell ill, right? He got torn by a beast, some form of judgment happened to him, or just natural causes, as Esau like to say. He said what?
It happened to Judith.
Yep. Matter of fact, bring that out, King. Judith. Get Judith. Chapter 1 and verse 1, I believe.
8.
Judith 1.
Judith.
So yeah, this tied into Purim because Esther, she was parentless, and Mordecai took her in,
Judith chapter 8 verse 4.
showing the integrity of Mordecai, man. It's a mighty brother.
Book of Judith, chapter 8 and verse 4, and it reads thus. So Judith was a widow in her house 3 years and 4 months.
Right, she said she was a widow in her house 3 years and 4 months. So that's a mighty woman right there. You got it.
And she made her a tent upon the top of her house.
And she didn't have that woe is me spiel. Oh man, she still was keeping the law. She was fasting. She was in the spirit, throwing up her prayers and supplications. She didn't allow her husband passing to affect her spirit, man. Right? She didn't say on to the next one. Right? That's what a lot of women do, man. Oh, he's in prison. I'm about to go do this. And that's off, man. Because he's not dead. He's in prison. Right? You kind of just jumping from rod to rod. Excuse my language. That's what our women do, man. And that's not sincere. You got it, brother.
That's a good point. A lot of our women make themselves so-called widows to get welfare, to get EBT.
Yeah.
They probably did that on each one on purpose.
Yeah, that's off, man.
That's all.
Yeah. That's a wicked thing to do. Yeah, that stuff happens to them. Right? What they call it, murder for hire. They hire people to murder their husbands so they can get the insurance money.
That's really some Esau stuff.
Yeah.
Jake can do that too, though.
Yeah, Jake do it too, man. Look what Ahab and Jezebel did to Naboth, the Jezreelite. Right? They got him jammed up and they took his vineyard. That's murder for hire right there, man. They bear false witness on him, which is off as hell and against the scriptures. And then they got him put to death. And they took his vineyard. Oh, that's literally evil. You got it, brother.
Exodus 22 and 22.
Yes.
Book of Exodus, chapter 22, and verse 22, and it reads thus. Ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child.
And that's what the so-called white man do. He afflicts the widows and the fatherless children. Mm-hmm. He don't give a damn about the fatherless children. He said, make it happen. Right? Play the hand you were dealt. Right? Right? And he damn sure don't give a damn about the single mothers out here. Right? Now he may give the single mothers, some relief.
The system sucked too, that foster home.
Oh, the system's horrible. Israelites get molested in the system, get abused.
They just let whoever just do that.
Yeah, because ultimately it's for money. You get money for running a welfare home or a salak, what's it called, an orphanage.
That's what
They get paid big coins to do that, but they're not sincere with it. Now, if you sincere with it, then that's a mighty act. I mean, that's probably like one of the highest forms of charity. The Lord gonna remember that. But you got people who don't give a damn about children, right? They just want the money.
I always show you that in movies.
Yeah. I was on the movie, damn Life Fight.
Yeah.
While he was in the orphanage, he was getting beat up by that Edomite. Right? Also a movie called Antoine Fisher. That movie was sad, man. Yeah. His damn so-called aunt molested him, man. You know, so that's what happens in the foster care system. You know, and that destroyed his mind. Yeah, and then he went to the army, you know, and all hell broke loose.
The movie was pretty sad.
Yeah, get Judah chapter 8, verse 4 again. Oh, it was more than that, Exodus 22. Yeah,
If thou afflict them in any wise.
If thou afflict them in any form, any wise mean any form or fashion. You could be scoffing at them. You could be laughing in the scorn. You could be stealing from them. That's what Brett Favre did. He literally stole from the welfare system $5 million. This is a man that played football his whole life that has $5 million, but he said, you know what, I don't want to use my money. I'm going to use these niggas' money. Right?
You know you're a racist.
He's evil. You got it.
Southern racist.
If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me.
And we cry day and night to the Lord. Right? How many single mothers are out here crying to the Lord?
Amen.
Right? And fatherless. We cry all day and night to the Most High God. Right? And crying don't always have to be necessarily tears coming out of your eyes. Your spirit can be crying out. You can be sighing. You man, bro, it's always something, man.
Oh, Lord.
That's crying to the Lord. And we do that day in and day out. Keep reading.
And they cry at all, they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry. And my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword.
I will do what?
And I will kill you with the
And the Lord
sword.
said, I will kill you with the sword. He said, I will surely hear their cry. My wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword.
Right.
I mean, that's what the Lord said He going to do. Hey, the Lord don't lie.
Kill you.
The Lord don't repent. That's what He said, man.
And your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless.
And that's the curse that's being put on the nations. It's going to be a lot of fatherless Edomites out here. A lot of single mother Edomites out here. Right? Hey, Jacob's trouble, man. All hell gonna be breaking loose. They gonna be getting put to death. They men, virgins gonna be mourning out, lamenting because they don't got a husband. I mean, Eve been dealing with this for years, man. Eve been dealing with not having a man for years, man. Edomite woman ain't used to that.
Right.
You know, what am I gonna do? Come here. She's trying to grab the dog, trying to grab all the kids at one time. She's stumbling, she's hitting her head. Right? You know, it all hell breaking loose, man. Right? So going back to Judith chapter 8 verse 4, the point is, Judith was a widow. Go to Judith chapter 8 verse 4, okay?
Judith was a widow and Esther was fatherless.
That's right.
Mordecai kind of kept the law and took her in, huh?
Judah chapter 8 verse
And
4.
afflicted.
That's right. Judith chapter 8 verse 4. And that shows you the integrity our men had, man.
Yeah, hell
He
integrity.
took in a woman, a daughter, right? A young lady. He took her in and he took care of her. How many men doing that right now?
That's his cousin too.
Yeah. How many men are actually doing that, man? You know, when you really think about it and analyze it, keep reading, King. Judith chapter 8, verse 4.
Judah chapter 8 verse 4, and it reads thus. So Judith was a widow in her house 3 years and 4 months. And she made her a tent upon the top of her house, and put on sackcloth upon her loins, and wear her widow's apparel.
She wore the widow's apparel, right?
And she fasted all the days of her widowhood,
She fasted all the days of her widowhood,
save the eves of the Sabbaths,
right?
and the Sabbaths and the eves of the new moons, and the new moons in the feast and solemn days of the house of Israel.
And that's mighty right there, man. So, what, damn near 75% of the time she was fasting, afflicting her spirit. Right? So the Lord can hear her prayers, man. Right? Because that's a sad thing. A woman lose her husband, especially in the ancient world. You know, if that's a sad thing now, how much more? Hey, in the ancient world, that was real bad, man. Right? Keep reading.
She was also of a goodly countenance, and a very beautiful to behold. And her husband Manasseh had left her gold and silver and men servants and maid servants and cattle and lands, and she remained upon them.
Right, man. So basically, he was in her will, right, or his will. She was in his will, roughly paraphrase, right? Roughly understand that, right? So he left her that all that gold, all that silver, right? All those good things, man. Right. So that's it, man.
In 2 Maccabees 3:10. And I want to let me back off the brother. Brett Favre ended up suing Shannon Sharp for defamation after he stole the money. So that's just beyond wicked.
Wicked bad.
Like his character is
Yeah, for
a
defamation
bad
of
character.
character.
You said what?
Charged someone for defamation of character.
Yep.
That's lame.
I think it's still pending.
Most likely he's gonna win. Brett Favre. This is his kingdom, man.
Stole money and sued Jake. What did Jake do?
For speaking of it.
That's the pride of Esau.
2 Maccabees chapter 3 verse 10, and it reads thus. Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children, and that some of it belonged to Hyrcanus, son of Tobias.
Hyrcanus was a mighty man. He put the Edomites into subjection. Go ahead.
A man of great dignity, and not as that wicked Simon had misinformed.
Right.
The sum whereof in all was 400 talents of silver,
That adds up to like, I believe, at least $1 million and some change. You got it.
and 200 of gold, and that it was altogether impossible that such wrongs should be done unto them that had committed it to the holiness of the place,
That's a lot of gold and silver. Go ahead.
and to the majesty and inviolable sanctity of the temple, honored over all the world. But Heliodorus, because of the king's commandment given him, said,
Real quick, and the other nations knew that. Like, damn, Israel's doing something mighty for their people. It was going all throughout the world. They had a welfare system set up for the widows and the fatherless. It was renowned. But Heliodorus, this is what he did.
said that in any wise it must be brought into the king's treasury. So at the day which he appointed, he entered in to order this matter. Wherefore there was no small agony throughout the whole city. But the priests, prostrating themselves before the altar in their priest vestments,
Calm down.
called unto heaven upon him that made a law concerning things given to he kept,
Right?
that they should safely be preserved for such as had committed them to be kept.
Dude, hold up. What you doing? Go ahead.
Then whoso had looked the high priest in the face, it would have wounded his heart, for his countenance and the changing of his color declared the inward agony of his
He
mind.
was sick. Go ahead.
For the man was so compassed with fear and horror of the body, that it was manifest to them that looked upon him what sorrow he had now in his heart.
They can feel it. You know how somebody feels so safe, just feel it. He felt it. And he still didn't give a damn.
That's deep.
That's
right
Brett
there.
Favre.
That's deep. You feel that sorrow, you feel that agony. That's deep, man. Like,
So what?
Basically, he
money.
said, I know it's for the widows, but they gotta go to the king. That's all.
Others ran flocking out of their houses to the general supplication, because the place was like to come into contempt.
And they ran.
And the
They dropped
women,
everything. It was probably cooking, getting clothes done. They
bad
ran.
news.
They're like, what the hell's going on? They probably, I'm sure they blew the trumpet.
That's equivalent to Esau cutting off food stamps right now, cutting off Section 8. All hell
Yeah,
gonna break loose. It's
yeah.
gonna be an uproar in the line.
They damn near doing that. Sending it to Ukraine.
bad. And the woman, girt with sackcloth under their breasts, abounded in the streets, and the virgins that were kept in ran, some to the gates and some to the walls, and others looked out the windows in awe, holding their hands toward heaven. Heaven made supplication.
That's probably one of the top 10 saddest accounts in the scriptures. They just opened the doors, you just cried out to the Lord. Please help.
And that's mighty, man. Hey, today if that happened, man, they not gonna cry to the Lord.
Pick up the guns.
They gonna pick up their gun, cry to Ray Ray. He gonna go kind of do some stuff out there. You know what I'm saying?
Ray and Poop.
Right? You gotta cry to the Lord when you've been afflicted. So, hey, just to make a point, man, Israel, we've been through a lot, man. Right? We've been through a whole lot. Lamentations 3:22, it's the mercy of the Lord we not consumed. We could have been consumed thousands of years ago under these different captivities. But the Lord always had his hand upon his people. You got it, brother.
Then it would have pitied a man to see the falling down of the multitude of all sorts, and the fear of the high priest being in such an agony. They then called upon the Almighty Lord to keep the things committed of trust safe and sure for those that had committed them.
And
Nevertheless,
that's a beautiful account. When you don't got no money, you down on your luck, you call them to the Lord. They lost all their money. They didn't kind of just coon out. They didn't sell their souls. They didn't just work on the Sabbath. They didn't call them to the Lord. They had no money in their pockets.
And they were scared about this.
nevertheless,
Real quick, they were scared about this because you got to understand these men are in a position of leadership. How they going to tell the people ain't no more money, man? They in danger if they say something like that. What do you mean there's no more money? What you do with it?
People don't like the message.
right?
Yeah.
Look at the opera.
Remember, Robum, I believe, he sent out the tax collector and he stoned him. They killed him. He was just doing his job. He died. His family's like, what the hell happened?
Nobody likes the tax collector, man. No one likes that. Call these, where the money at.
Bill collector, call
Right, you
bad.
Yeah, that's a bad job.
Kind of ducking they calls.
Yeah.
Nevertheless,
They call him 303.
nevertheless, Heliodorus executed that which was decreed. Now, as he was there present himself with his guard about the treasury, the Lord of spirits and the Prince of all power caused a great apparition, so that all that presumed to come in with him were astonished at the power of God.
Real quick, look up apparition real quick. We know brothers know what it is, but you got people on the Commodore that may not. So we got to look at these things. Apparition. The Lord caused a great apparition. It's a ghost or ghost-like image. Right? A spirit. That's one of the synonyms. A spirit.
Shadow.
A shadow. A presence. So, in other words, it's a demon. That's pretty good.
You alright.
Click the image. Well, look. That name up right there. Hey, that's really cool. So basically, it's spirits, man. That's probably. Look at that. Imagine seeing that at 3 o'clock in the morning. That spirit, looking
Right.
at you. You wake up and it's looking at you. You know.
You got sleep paralysis.
Yeah, you got sleep paralysis. You hear that demon. Then you call on Yahweh.
The
you
conjuring
have-
spirit.
Oh,
Oh,
you know.
Out.
This stuff real, man. Imagine seeing that at the corner of your room. You don't be scared stiff. You probably don't move, man. It's either fight or flight at that point. You know. You gotta rebuke that spirit, man. Now you gonna be scared. I'm not saying you're gonna be,
Right.
You might wake up and just start. You can if you're a mighty brother. But normally,
Still do that out of fear, though.
yeah,
Yo, watch your shots. Yeah, like.
yeah. But you gotta have faith when you rebuke that thing. That's a junk one.
Kind of man.
Right? So an apparition appeared to Heliodorus.
Judge them for dealing with taking the money from widows, man.
And once I can jam you up for being greedy. It's an apparition.
That's why, hey man, you gotta keep your spirit in check, man. Because if you out there stealing, defrauding your brother, secret sins, the Lord can send demons at you.
That happened.
Yeah.
Brother just talking about that. Somebody stole something.
Yeah, oh yeah. And the brother was stealing out the car, and a damn demon ran him down. Right? He stole out the car. He ran away, and that demon
Wasn't it
kind of
video?
running down, man.
It was a video.
Yeah.
Oh, that thing.
Find that one.
There's more from this though too.
Eli probably got it.
Astonished at the power of God, and fainted and were sore afraid. For there appeared unto them an horse with a terrible rider upon him,
A horse with a terrible rider. This is a death man. All right, read on.
and adorned with a very fair covering. And he ran fiercely, and smote at Heliodorus,
He did what?
and smote at Heliodorus with his forefeet. And it seemed that he that sat upon the horse had complete harness of gold.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's on TikTok. All right. Keep reading.
Moreover, 2 other young men appeared before him, notable in strength, excellent in beauty, and comely in apparel, who stood by him on either side, and scourged him continually.
He did what?
Scourged him continually.
He scourged him continually. Right? So they was beating him down. They
them
beating him
spirits.
down. Yeah, them spirits will get physical with you, man.
Whooping his ass.
crazy. The Lord
make you
feel
Even touching to the those Jews of Sceva, right? I believe that was Acts 19 chapter. They was trying to cast out demons in the name of Paul and Yahweh Shah. And that demon say, Paul I know, Yahweh Shah I know, but who are ye? You know? That's creepy right there, man. I know them, but who are you, man? And then hop on you,
I'm sorry, I forgot
beat you
your name.
down, and that man was never the same, man.
Basically saying you don't have no power to cast me out.
Who are you? That's
You're
crazy.
like, wait, who is you?
You don't have power.
See, spirit got checked.
Right.
If you don't fast enough or pray enough, them spirits,
Size you up.
they get buck with you, man.
The spirit kind of talk back. Like, who is you? Man, you can't rebuke me.
Shake the hand at
You got to look through his
Let that
scouter.
spirit do that. Like,
You got to look through his scouter.
You
Hey,
can't.
your spirit level ain't up there.
And they fled away.
and they
naked.
said they never was the same. Like you said, they kind of got spirit hopped on them.
Yeah. So that's what happened to Heliodorus, man.
You know, not dealing with the widow's prophet. So all that literally just tied back into Mordecai's character. You understand?
Yeah.
So Mordecai dwelling in Shushan, which is capital Elam, he got his name from basically telling the king these men was trying to kill him. Go to Esther 3:1.
Book of Esther, chapter 3 and verse 1. And it reads thus. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite.
The who?
The
He's
Agagite.
a damn Agagite. Right, go to 1 Samuel 15:7. And you search, look up Agagite. Or Agagite.
It,
No, it's Agagite.
A-G.
A-G.
Yeah.
Not on English, it's
It's AG.
You on bean?
Agagite.
Yeah, A-G. Yeah.
You gotta drop the bean.
A-G-A-G.
I-T.
Guy. Yeah.
I-T-E.
Yeah. Yeah, look, bring that up though. 1 Samuel 15:7.
Book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15 and verse 7. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou comest to Shur.
Right?
That is over against Egypt. And he
Right.
took Agag, the king of the Amalekites.
The who?
And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites.
Right, so he was the king of the Amalekite. So he's an Amalekite, an Agite. Now, this is Agite. Go scroll down. And this, look like they just took it off. Search, oh yeah, here it is. Look, it says, look at that last sentence. Take that off. Look at that last sentence. It says, with the understanding, so above that last sentence, in the other paragraph. Oh, that's all one paragraph, my bad. Where it says, with this understanding, the Greek translator rendered the term Macedonian.
Damn.
Right? So when you look into Agite, it literally goes into the Macedonian. And the Macedonian, get first Maccabees 1:1. Right? So Amalek, you know, that's Esau. right?
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian.
The who?
The Macedonian.
And that's Alexander the Freak, man. Those are Amalekites. Those are Edomites. So Haman is an Edomite, man.
Oh, they're saying.
Right? The Macedonian. That's literally what the Greek translators they get. Macedonian from Agag.
That guy, dang.
It's an additional Esther too.
Yeah, it is. I was just gonna make a point. I was gonna make a point real quick. Give me Exodus chapter 17, verse 16. So, and Amalek are the fake Jews, man.
That's right.
Right? The fake Jews, right? And then say a well-known Midrashic explanation of the term relates it to King Agag of the Amalekites, whereby it is viewed as meaning either a literal descendant of Agag or a symbolic term for, not going to say that word, due to the Amalekites being a perennial enemy to the Israelites. So these people are Israel's chief enemy, man. Right? So hey, they that real term, man. Right. You know that term that starting with eight.
Hey.
Anti, you know what?
Anti-smart.
Yeah, anti-small head. Right? They the real anti-small heads, man. But they against us. You know, we're Shem.
They anti us, bro.
Yeah, they anti-Israel. They hate Israel.
Got the precept.
Right?
They hate God's people.
Yeah.
Additional Esther 17. Or
Like 10, right?
16 to 10.
I was still at the Exodus.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted Exodus first, right? Or this first.
Yeah, you can get that first.
Because it led me back into it. It's a good precept.
additional Esther 16 to 10.
Yeah, bring that out. It's a good
It's
precept.
gonna be a 7 to 10. You on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on.
You know your phone, yeah. About 7.
Edition of Esther, chapter 7 and verse 10.
Right?
For Haman,
Right. That's Haman.
a Macedonian.
Hey, who?
A
Right. I
Macedonian.
thought he was an Agagite. Right? And guess what? Apocrypha, that's a Greek translation. So that Agagite goes into Macedonia. And if you look up Macedon, real quick. If you look up Macedon, not Matt, just look up Macedon. Click you want to go to Wikipedia.
Scroll down.
Damn, Bean got Macedonia. Scroll down. Go to the side, to the right. Scroll down. Let's check it out. Scroll down. Something that I wanted. Show the dynasty they come from.
Argue.
Argia
Yeah.
dynasty.
The Argue.
You gotta just look at the Argia dynasty.
I thought it was in Macedon, yes.
It should be in there.
Yeah. It should show that they come from the Argead dynasty. Yeah, there it is. Stop right here. It says the classical Greek. It says reported the legend that Macedonian kings of the Argead dynasty were descendants of Timanus. Right? And right there it says they're the founders of the Argead dynasty. Right? So the Argead dynasty is basically when Esau came and conquered the Japhites. And they took over that land like around 800 something BC. The same time period where they broke off, I believe that was from Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, because we had the Edomites in subjection. So no matter how you slice it up, man, through the history, the precepts, right, through definitions, Esau always goes back to being a so-called white man, right? But yeah, these people that come from the Argead dynasty. A dynasty is like a lineage of people. So it's not like Alexander the Freak will be from the Argead dynasty. So with Haman and then they break off and they're different. No, they all from the same dynasty, right? So they all the same lineage, right? So and notice it says they descendants of Timanus. Now you click it, it's gonna say something else. It's gonna say some folly and it's fake. But why is it called Timanus, man? Really?
Isaiah.
That's the capital of Esau.
Yeah, get that Isaiah 63, verse 1. So, we got precepts I can understand.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 63, and verse number 1, and it reads thus. Who is this that cometh from Edom
Who is this that cometh from Edom? Read on.
with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, travailing in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury.
That's not what I want to get. Obadiah chapter 1 verse.
Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 9, and it reads thus. And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed.
And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed. Right? Talking about the Edomites.
To the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter.
That's right. Listen on that.
Yeah.
Amos 1 and 11 on 12. Just proving that.
Look at Amos chapter 1 and verse 11, and reads thus.
So like it also too, the argument that if you like read on here, it might say like Teman is like the son of somebody.
Yeah.
The Argead dynasty, we go to that, it was called the Temanite dynasty too.
That's true too. If you look up Argead dynasty, it's called the Teman. That is true.
That's one of the sons of Esau. You read Genesis 36.
Read that.
First dynasty.
Amos chapter 1 and verse 11, and reads thus. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for a 4th, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with a sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. But I will send a fire upon Teman, which shall devour the palaces of Basra.
That's right. So the Lord gonna send a fire upon Esau, so-called white man. He's not gonna say Esau every time in the scriptures. Sometimes he's gonna say Teman.
That's where it say Esau, the white man.
Yeah.
You gotta go through that.
No scriptures say white man. Right? There's no such thing. There's no such thing as a black man. Right? So you gotta, hey, the Most High, man. Hey, the scripture got salt on it, man. So Esau, he's Teman, right? He's Edom, right? He's the violent man. It's not gonna say the so-called white man. It's gonna say the violent man. It's gonna say Esau, Edom, right? The bloody man, bloodthirsty, proud,
Ass, fight,
Right.
fox, young,
Wicked.
wicked.
You can get Genesis 36 and 15. I just had a few points on Esther too. And this is how we know the so-called white man is. Haman is the so-called white man in the scriptures. You know, like the brothers broke down so eloquently that the Haman lineage go back to Macedon, the king of Agag, the Amalekites. You got it.
Genesis chapter 34 and verse 15. 36.
36.
Oh, 36. Genesis chapter 36 and verse 15. These were dukes of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau, Duke Teman, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, and Duke Kanah, Duke Korah, Duke Gadam, and Duke Amalek.
And mind you, they still call themselves dukes, the Dukes of Hazard. And one of those sons of Esau is Teman. That's a Duke Teman. Look up the word Duke. They call themselves Dukes of Hazard.
those are different
A
tribes
duke?
of Esau.
A duke is like how we would call a king or a prince. They call themselves dukes.
Hey, the Blue Devil Dukes. Duke.
Duke.
Those are the highest titles to the British rulers.
Like Duke.
Go to probably biblical.
Oh, just search Duke definition.
Blue Devil Dukes, man.
It's a male holding the highest hereditary title in the British and certain other imperages.
Noble.
A landowner.
Earl.
Let's go to Esther 31. So Haman was known as a duke. He was a Duke Teeman of the son of Eliphaz of the tribe of Esau. Right, you got it.
Esther chapter 3 and verse 1.
University of Duke, he was an Edomite from the tribe of Emmer.
Yeah, it's the tribe of Amalek.
Right. After these
You
things,
got it, right.
Esther 3 and 1.
Real Hebrew Edomite. You got it.
After these things, did King Ahasuerus promote Haman?
He what?
Promote Haman.
So he promoted Haman. And what happened when Esau get that manager role? They start being proud, man. You got it.
The son of Hamadatha, the Agagite.
The what?
The
And the
Agagite.
brothers already broke that down. You got it.
And advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him and all the king's servants that were in the king's gate.
And Esau can't
Bow.
Esau can't handle that power. Right? You got it.
Bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not.
But what?
Mordecai bowed not.
So we didn't bow to the so-called white man. Let's get the book of Esther chapter 4 verse 13 real quick.
And he was upset about that. Right? He got mad at that. How dare this Benjamite,
This
you know,
Jew
this Jew.
at that. Esther chapter 4 verse 13.
Real quick, when you type in prideful man, look what pop up.
So,
Look at me point at us.
It's a little folly, but like that's real. They're
Facts.
prideful. That's off. Look at it.
All Edomites.
That's crazy.
No other nation but Esau. Whoa. Read out for you.
Esther chapter 4 and verse 13, and it reads thus. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
right, so you can't go and hide with America or go, not fight for your people, man. Because you in that high position. Right? You gotta stand on the front line for your people, man. That's what we do. Right? You got it.
For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed.
And that's go to all Israel. All you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Don't go hide yourself with America and not fight for your people, man. Right? So let's go to let's go back to Esther 3 to where we left off at. So I just want to make that quick point that our people always fought against the enemies and rose up against kings. Read about that in addition to Esther's.
And the Lord can use a woman to do it, man.
That's right.
But the Lord can use any form of deliverance. But in this particular case, the Lord uses Queen Esther
There you go.
to deliver the nation of Israel.
That's right.
Right?
Esther chapter 3 and verse 2 at the latter part of the verse. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand.
Right, so we don't bow to mortal man. We bow to Yahweh Hashem.
That's right.
That's
Like
right.
Yahweh Hashem. That's right. Right, so let's get you got a precept?
Yeah, Khan. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 4, and verse 22. And it reads thus. Out of the book of Sirach, the 4th chapter. It says, accept no persons against thy soul, and let not the reverence of any man cause thee to fall. Right? So we don't let the reverence of men cause us to fall.
Right.
We'll be damned. We're not bowing down to no man.
Especially not no Edom.
Even if the angel told you not to bow down, how much more earthly man?
Especially like
So hell no, man. You don't bow down to no man.
And in these last days, Esau gonna want you to bow down to him, man. To serve him.
And bow down is spiritual too, man. Because bowing down pretty much represents you giving your spirit to that person. Whatever God that is.
Serving him. Giving your soul over to him.
Yeah, bowing down is a form of submission.
That's why I said in Revelation, they got the souls of men in Babylon. Right?
So you got a mighty man, you got an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. He's not bowing down to no mortal man. He said,
Right.
that's off.
So they talk to him daily. Like, you're not gonna bow.
That's all.
Every day, you're not gonna bow. You're like, no. I can imagine his attitude too.
To show weakness by agreeing to the demands or
Following the orders of someone or something. That's madness. We only bow down to the Lord. Right? That's what we bow down to. That's what we accept orders from. Right? Man, you can have respect for him, man, but you don't have to bow down to him and worship him.
That's all. Kiss his boot, man.
Yeah, kissing his boot, man.
They said he ain't had no reverence to him though, too.
Yeah,
He didn't care about
He
him.
ain't respect him either.
That's right. That's right, Mordecai.
That's right, man. Fighting forefathers, man.
That's right.
Right, so I want to get another one. I think it's Esther. This is the Esther chapter.
Hey, we don't respect the nations.
La-
That's the spirit you gotta have. You can keep it cordial with them and things of that
3
nature,
and verse 4.
but you don't respect them, man.
Right.
We don't respect the so-called white man.
Not at all.
We don't respect the Chinese man. We
Never
can keep
did.
it cordial, but on the deeper level, we don't respect you. We don't respect your authority.
They don't respect us.
They don't respect
Right.
us, brother. Right? You kind of got to take orders from Esau. Sometimes you kind of got to do it on the job. You got to take certain orders from Esau. But sometimes it be in your mind like, nah, we really should do it like this because it makes more sense. We got more sense than Esau. man.
Especially if he said it in a certain way, you do.
Yeah.
Like, hold on now. Like,
That's
That make no sense.
man, go get
And then you start shaking the hand at you.
that. Right.
You got it.
I had to read this in Esther chapter 3 and verse 5. Addition to Esther and the prophet. And I got a quick point too. Because that's how we know that's Esau, man. Esau wants you to bow.
Right.
And then we're gonna get another whoop. Grown man want another man to bow before him. Right, you got it.
Addition to Esther chapter
And
3 and
get
verse
back.
5. So the king commanded Mordecai to serve in the court, and for this he rewarded him. Howbeit Haman, the son of Hammedatha, it says something different in here, but Hammedatha, the Agagite, who was in great honor with the king, sought to molest Mordecai and his people because of the 2 eunuchs of the king. Is this Mordecai, the Marduk? Yeah.
That's off. So that's Esau's spirit, man. He started to molest him. He wanted to do things against Mordecai. He wanted him to bow down to him. He wanted him,
Kiss his boot.
yeah.
You know?
We kings, man.
Yeah.
We ain't no damn servants.
Yeah, kings don't bow.
Mordecai, like, how did this
Who a king gonna bow down to? We bow down to the Lord, man.
That's right.
Right? Because that's who over the king and the Lord. You know?
And then I want to get another one. Esther chapter 5 and verse 9, real quick. Because I want to make a quick point on Haman. Right?
Esther chapter 5 and verse.
Start at verse 9.
Verse 9.
Let's
Here
make
we
it
go.
quick, real quick, too.
Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him,
So he did it again. Right, you got it.
he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told them,
And that's a quick point. Just because they refrain themselves, that don't mean they like you or love you. They just put up with you.
That's
Right.
King.
Right, you got it.
I got it. That's Sirach 12 and 16 as well. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he meditate on how to overthrow you. You know, Psalms 28 and 3.
It's saying his heart is seven abominations. We got that in Proverbs.
That's right. I'm gonna just get this quick precept. Hold that. This is Psalms chapter 28 and verse 3. It reads thus: Draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. Right? So Esau practiced something called racial tolerance. So he put up with you, but he don't like you, man. He might act extra nice to you. Hey, man, hey, bud.
It's all fake.
Want a donut? You know, want a coffee? No, man. We don't accept nothing from Esau, man.
Put something in the donut.
Let's get it. I'm gonna get this precept real quick. Proverbs 26 and verse 14. He that hated dissembled with his lips and laughed up deceit within him. That's the so-called white man. Right, like the brother said, they practice racial profiling. They can act a certain way like snakes. That's why the scriptures call them serpents, you know. You will never know a serpent will sneak up on you until it bit you.
And that's why the Lord say never trust thy enemy. It's gonna be like a wiping glass if you never trust him. The minute you never trust Esau, you can just see through his spirit. You know.
It's a little more in this too. It say, verse 25. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. So you already meditating how to overthrow you 7 ways, which is that's completion.
That's right.
Right.
This is why two verses. 3. 2 Maccabees 12:1.
I'll read it. I'll bring it.
Oh, my bad.
When these covenants.
He was saying something.
He was home.
No. I thought you wanted
You
me to
can
read.
go to it though.
Because
I got
It
it.
ties into
Alright.
that. Regarding this 2 Maccabees 12:1. When these covenants were made, Lysias went unto the king, and the Jews were. Oh, yeah. And the Jews were about their husbandry, but of the governors of several places, Timotheus and Apollonius, and the son of Genius, also Hieronymus and Demophon, and besides them Nicanor, the governor of Cyprus, would not suffer them to be quiet and live in peace. That's today, right? They can't suffer us to live in peace. They always have to do something wicked towards us. Verse 3, the men of Job also did such an ungodly deed. They prayed the Jews that dwelt among them to go with their wives and children into the boats, which they had prepared, as though they had meant them no hurt. They said, hey, get on this boat. Ain't nothing bad gonna happen to you. It's a little cruise ship. Don't worry, we're gonna take care of y'all. Verse 4, who accepted of it according to the common decree of the city, as being desirous to live in peace, and supporting nothing, but when they were gone forth into the ship, they drowned no less than 200 of them. They made them drown on purpose. Hey, Mordecai said, I don't want to worship you. I'm not bowing down. Right. Kept pressing them. We can't live in peace. We can't do damn nothing. We can't even just till the ground without them saying, what are you doing? Nigga.
This first Maccabees chapter 1 verse 30. It say after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collectors of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them. All was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. Right, so you always had wicked men, man, of Edom, right, that speak peaceful words, and Edom know how to talk a good game, man. So if you simple-minded, you're finished in the face of Esau. You literally can never trust your enemy. That's why all praise to the Most High, he blessed us with this truth, man. Because we ain't coons no more, man. We won't trust the so-called white man. You know? In the world, you might trust Esau. You always think they nice because you see them on TV. They always got a smile on their face. You know, you changing how you talk around them. You're being Mr. Good Guy. Hold on, man. Hey, man, death to Esau.
That's right.
We don't respect Edomites, man.
Right.
Mordecai.
Right, so let's go back to just these 2 points I want to touch on real quick. Esther chapter 5, and go back to where you left off at verse 10. Esther chapter 5, verse 10. You getting it, brother?
Verse 4.
My bad. Brothers are bringing out their own.
Esther 5:4.
I got it. I thought he said he got it.
I had 5 and 9 or 10.
I'm at 5 and verse 10.
Book of Esther, chapter 5 and verse 10. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and the servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself. And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king.
So my point was, Haman had all these riches. He had children, he had wealth, and he just mad about Mordecai not serving him.
Right.
And that right there just overthrew everything that he ever had. So that's Esau. We are less than nothing here. You know, we not, 3/5 of a human being here under his constitution. He mad about what we do. Ultimately because he know our lot. Haman knew Mordecai a lot. That he was better than him. That's the point. So let's go back to, I got one last point. Esther chapter 3 and verse, start at verse 9.
Esther chapter 3 and verse 9. If it please the king.
You gotta read 5 too. I don't think we ever read 5.
We just read 5.
3 and 5.
3 and 5?
Yeah.
Oh, you got it. That's what we just read. Esther 3 and 5 by him, about him not bowing to Esau.
Oh, no, you just read 4. I didn't know you read that part.
Yeah, we already read that.
Okay.
God.
And then I was trying to get this Esther 3 and 9 real quick. Just these 3 points.
All right. Esther chapter 3 and verse 9 and reads thus. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000.
So this is 3 things that Esau wanted to do for us. He wanted to destroy us. He wanted to hang us. And what else? He gave up. He wanted to give up everything that he had to be like us. You know, he got it.
And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver.
So Esau don't care about how much money he will spend to destroy you.
Real quick. I want to make a point. That's called what they say putting money on someone's head, man.
Yeah.
That's what he did, man. Okay, I'm gonna put up this much money for these people to be destroyed.
So like, I want to make a point too.
You know,
The fact that he's such a double Haman because Mordecai didn't bow, so he wanted to kill all the Jews. Yeah. He's such a double, man. Like,
So they say that again?
Mordecai didn't bow.
Just one man, so he wanted to destroy
so
the
he wanted to
nation.
kill all the Jews.
But that's how you know it was something else than just Mordecai. It was that ancient hatred in him.
Exactly.
And then also I wanted to make a point, because the elders of One West, they was teaching one time, you know, this is a story. And they was outside, and then it was one of those, them Amalekites, the small hat mafias, and one of those Rockefeller families that came out the limousine, and they was teaching. And they said, how y'all know this? We spent trillions of dollars to keep this away from y'all, to know this.
Wow.
How do y'all know this? They were speaking about the truth and how we are the real people of the book, man. Right? So this right here is an account of how Haman will pay any amount, Esau will pay any amount to destroy you. Right? So let's get Esther 3 and verse 9 again.
Esther chapter 3 and verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business.
Esau has spent his own money on our people destruction. But that show you how much we are, how great we are. All right, you got it.
To bring it into the king's treasury.
I was saying you got a point.
Can you look up what murder for hire mean? We're just plain upon the table. You hire somebody to murder them. But let's look it up. Because that's essentially what he did.
So wrong that too.
Right? He put money up so the Jews can be destroyed. Let's look up the meaning of it. Contract killing is a form of murder in which one party hires another party to kill a targeted person or multiple people. It involves an illegal agreement between 2 or more parties in which one party agreed to kill the target in exchange for some form of payment, monetary or otherwise. Either party may be a person, group, or organization, or a nation, right? So he put up this much money so the Jews can be destroyed.
Hitman.
A
John
hitman.
Wick.
A violent man.
That's so evil, man.
Get Psalms 140.
Because they didn't want to bow to him. Yeah.
Psalms 140 verse 1.
All right.
So,
Book of Psalms, chapter 140 and verse 1, and it reads thus. To the chief musician, a psalm of David. Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man.
from the what?
From the evil man.
Esau is that evil man. Keep reading.
Preserve me from the violent man.
From the what?
From the violent man.
That's plain. That don't need an in-depth breakdown, right? Esau is that violent man that kills, murders, and loves blood, right? Not only do he like to eat it, but he likes to see it, right? right? So he wants to kill the Israelites. Yeah.
which imagine mischiefs in their heart.
That's it on that.
Oh, all right.
So I just want to go back to that point in Esther chapter 3 and verse 10, and then the brothers can finish it.
And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
The what?
The Jews' enemy.
Who was he?
The Jews' enemy.
Was Haman?
The Jews' enemy.
So the so-called white man is our enemy. That's
Right.
So I just wanted to harp on that point, and brothers got it.
Right. So again, you got Haman want to overthrow the Israelites, the Jews, and more specifically Mordecai. Go to Esther chapter 5 and go to verse 14.
Esther chapter 5 and verse 14, and it reads thus. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high.
Let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high. Look up a gallows, brother. Right, so now we about to get into the nitty gritty. Right? What's going on? What's the plot? What's the scheme that he created to overthrow Israel? More specifically, Mordecai. This is a gallows. It's a hanging instrument. Right? Who likes to hang the Israelites? So-called white man. Hanging us on the tree, burning us, roasting us. Right? They turned, I believe they turned into Vaseline. Yeah, they turned them into oil and they made his a sofa.
And they made his
They ate him too.
boots and stuff.
Yeah.
They ate his foot.
And they ate him.
And they ate his foot, man. So Esau, he'll kill you and eat you. But the point is, a gallows, a structure typically of two uprights and a cross piece for the hanging of criminals. And what criminal activity did Mordecai do? He's serving the Lord. You know, he didn't commit a criminal act. Where's the crime in not bowing to the king?
Like, you notice they put that definition talking about criminal. And they know they were just hanging Jake for no reason. They put criminal, man.
Yeah, they slid that in there.
And mind you, it wasn't a problem for all the other people to serve their gods in Esther 1 and 2 until Haman got into the office.
Yeah,
Right, facts too.
it's true. That's power.
Yeah, because the Persians said
They said
everybody was
they
free
let
to.
them do what they wanted.
Let me keep reading on this.
They
Brothers got it.
was double. Haman really is double.
You got it, King.
All right. Let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai may be hanged thereon.
That what?
That Mordecai may be hanged thereon.
Right, so he wanted to see, that's the imagination of Esau. He was it's like imagining Mordecai being hanged upon that gallows. He had to see it in his mind first. Kind of make this gallows, see Mordecai hanging on there. Yeah, he ain't gonna have no more life in him. Kill him. All right, keep reading.
Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman. And he caused the gallows to be
He
made.
did what?
And he caused the gallows to be made.
He caused the gallows to be made. Right? Now go to Esther chapter 8 verse. Nah, it's like it's 7 and probably yeah, Con 7 and go to verse. Nah, start before that.
I wouldn't. You know, in these last days, Esau gonna wanna do the same thing. He gonna wanna you know, have them guillotines and basically destroy us, man.
Right.
So you know, the Lord said His words are double to that which is. You know, so this is physically happening within history, but it plays over again. There's no new thing under the sun.
Yeah, I was thinking the whole chapter.
Yeah, go to Esther chapter 7, start at verse 1.
Esther chapter 7 and verse 1.
Right.
And it reads thus. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen.
Salaki, we read earlier how Haman was excited about this banquet. He thinking, queen and he excited about it, right through the spirit, right? He was excited. The king and queen invited only me. That's what Haman was thinking. So you gotta keep that in mind. The Lord did him. That's funny. That's real up.
And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther?
And that's why the Lord set up Esther in this position, right? Hey, cause like the scripture say, women are strong. That's in First Ezra, the 4th chapter. Right? A woman can weaken the king. Right? He got his guards down. He just think, oh, it's a light woman. It's a light woman. You know, he's smiling, he happy, he all bubbly inside.
They said she's a beautiful woman, beautiful Israelite woman, man. He kind of like, yeah, I mean, no. He kind of kicked his other red to the curb, kind of said, you the queen.
She probably looking like Tim.
He got it. So it says, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? Keep reading.
And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom.
So I give you anything, even the half of the kingdom.
That's a saying in the scriptures.
That's
A major, I think that was said in by what's his name, Herod, right? They said I give you everything, even to half the kingdom. Right? When
he was letting his guard down. He was letting his guard down.
Kind of buttered him up.
Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request.
You gotta imagine this, man. She's saying it all soft and feminine, right? She looking beautiful while she's saying it. Like, he kind of rubbing his neck, like, yeah. What you want? What you want?
Right.
Right? Keep reading.
For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish.
So she dropping the knowledge on him. Look, this was happening to my people. We've been sold, we've been slain, we're perishing.
It really was sold, because remember he said I give you 10,000 talents of silver to kill these people. You gotta hit, you're basically saying we got a hit out on us, man.
But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so?
And so he starts snapping, man. Said, where you at, man?
think what Haman had to be thinking, though.
He was confounded.
You got it, kid.
And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is the wicked Haman.
Is the what?
Is the wicked Haman.
Is the what?
Is the wicked
He
Haman.
said it's this wicked Haman.
Yeah.
The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman.
Yeah, that's a key, because she said this, like, she probably pointed, like,
Right.
him, like, this wicked
Right. Like this.
Satan, man.
And you gotta imagine all this.
Satan, this dude.
You gotta imagine this. You just gotta picture it, man. This is a woman speaking to the king, saying, "Look, man, this wicked man right here, this wicked Haman."
She probably all nice one. Like, pointing at him.
She caused the sedition and righteousness.
She knew what she was doing, right? That's why they be know what they doing, man. Do you see that in Judah? They know exactly what they doing. They just do it on the left hand side.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
Real quick, she manipulated the situation in righteousness.
Eve do that all the time.
There's a high form of manipulation going on in righteousness.
Come.
You know,
He was afraid.
you got it, King.
He probably was like,
Right. Right. Looking at that like.
God.
And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the
He
king.
was begging.
please don't do this, queen.
He later believed he was crying. Man.
You know Esau.
He
Right.
probably was crying.
Saw it carefully with tears.
No mercy. Right down, crying mercy, man.
I didn't know you was a Jew. He said to the queen.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, he probably did say that. Fine.
Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine.
And the king is hot, man. He's mad. Right? Keep reading.
And Haman was falling upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house?
Will he do what?
Will he force the queen also before me in the house?
So it's looking bad for him,
Right.
man.
He probably was over there trying to choke her out.
You have to understand this. You have to picture all this, man. He got laid in the bed. He in the bed. It's looking bad. He's like, what's going on? He laying upon his own understanding. He like,
Right,
"Hold on."
right.
You know? He already mad, and then he's kind of see you on his bed, man.
Laying next to her, kind of begging. He trying to beg her.
And that's how she just spread out his peak like she was in the king's bed. So he was feeling this
Yeah, he was begging to her, man. He was begging, please, in the bed, begging, crying.
He probably crying on her shoulder.
Probably grabbing her up a little bit, like, please, please.
I have
And then the king
Right.
came over bed.
I had you friends.
You in my bed?
Yeah, you in my bed. You
came
came
back
touching on my woman.
You don't get another man bed.
Oh, you finished, man. He said, look. He said, will he force the queen also before me in the house? Like, you gonna do this in my house,
Right.
man?
You read that.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
They did what?
They covered Haman's
They
face.
jacked him up. They covered his face, man. You got it.
And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon.
Do what?
Hang him thereon.
What?
Hang him thereon.
What?
Hang him thereon.
What?
Hang him thereon.
Read on.
So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. Kwanya Shala.
Right, man. Real quick, get Proverbs 16 and 33. It said, then was the king's wrath pacified. Yeah, so
He probably was like, ah.
the gallows that he purposed for Mordecai, the lot was cast on him. And he got hanged upon those gallows. And that's where Purim comes from. The lot. Get Proverbs 16 and 33.
Proverbs 16 and 33, and it reads thus. The lot is cast into the lap.
Hey, the lot is cast into the land. Right? You might purpose your goings, you might purpose your understanding of your lot. Read on.
But the whole disposing thereof is of the
But
Lord.
the whole disposing thereof is of the Lord. And that's what Purim represents, man.
Yeah.
You have to understand your lot. Right? Because you can purpose for something to happen, but the Lord can overthrow that purpose. Right? So he purposed to hang and put the death of Mordecai upon those gallows. On those same gallows he created for Mordecai, he was hanged there on.
Mighty, man.
You think he woke up that morning saying, you know what, I'm actually going to get hanged upon these gallows.
He was rubbing his hands.
He built it, them gallows got built it for his own destruction, little did he know.
That's funny.
Out of his own money.
You know?
He made the gallows, they got hung on it. The Lord is.
Even when you think about, tying into the World War III and these nuclear missiles they created, right? They actually created these missiles to destroy each other.
Right.
They showing off these missiles. They got the scientists. They rubbing their hands. They got all this technology. You creating that to destroy yourself.
The Lord. Man, I would say you know the Lord.
Yeah, God, for real. It's funny how you set up that whole
Psalm 7
thing.
and 15.
You got him wrong.
Psalm chapter 7 verse 15. That's right.
Goddamn, so.
So that's where Purim comes from. And we got more to go into.
Psalm chapter 7 and 15. He made a pit and digged it.
He did what?
He made a pit and digged it.
And you got to look at this from a spiritual understanding as well. That pit can be anything.
Right.
And that pit, in this context, right, when it pertains to Esther, the 8th chapter, it's talking about the gallows. Read on.
And is fallen into the ditch which he made.
And he fall into that same ditch which he have created. You got it, brother.
Psalms 9 and 16.
Psalm chapter 9, verse 16.
Book of Psalms, chapter 9, and verse 16. It reads thus. The Lord is known by the judgment which he executed. The wicked is snared in the work of his hands, of his own hands. Higayon, Selah. Higayon,
He said
Selah.
the wicked is snared by his own hands. And get Esther chapter 9 and verse 24.
Book of Esther,
And we exhort Israel to read Esther in these times.
chapter 9 and verse 24.
Right? We exhort Israel to go into the book of Esther. Because it's a lot. It's a lot of understanding. It's a lot of the backstory. You want to actually go into these things. You got it, brother.
Esther chapter 9 and verse 24, and it reads thus. Because Haman the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast Pur. That is the lot.
Did what?
That is the lot.
So
Had
Purim
cast
means lots. Right? You got it.
That is the lot, to consume them and to destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the
They
gallows.
said he and his sons. So his family was put to death.
Right.
Right?
I got a quick point too. And when you read, I believe Esther like 6 or 7, it's in Haman thought process that he gonna have a parade, he gonna be dressed nice, and then we read Mordecai is having that parade.
Right.
Dressed nice.
Dressed nice with a crown on his head.
Yeah.
Funny, man.
So
Keep reading
Lord,
that.
man. I love that.
Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, for all the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained, and took upon them and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they will keep these 2 days according to their writing.
These what?
These 2 days according to their writing.
So Purim is 2 days. It's not 1 day. It's not a day and a half. It's not a half a day. It's 2 days. And what? Hey, look. These
Right.
days he kept in the world was 2 days, man. Kind of back to back.
No.
You know, you got the new moons every month, right? You got the Sabbaths every week, right? You got feast days all throughout the year, and we got Purim. No Purim, new moon, Passover, right? Yeah, because Passover the beginning of April. So it's nothing but merriness.
A new year, man.
You
Not
got
a new year.
I had a quick point on how to keep Purim. Get verse 22 in chapter 9. That's
Verse 22, and it reads thus: As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy.
no mourning.
Make them days of feasting and joy.
We're going to be feasting and enjoying when we make it out of here. That's symbolic for our deliverance out of Babylon, man. All right, America. All right, you got it.
And of sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor. And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them. By Shema Mashiach.
And that's spiritual, man. Sending portions one to another and to the poor. Because we were speaking on the widows early on in the video. So it's all spiritual, man. You know, that ties back in.
To the gospel, too.
That's right. You know, so we take care of the poor. And you can, hey man, go help out the poor. Brothers can do that for Purim as well, man. Go on a food drive, help out the poor. You know what I'm saying? Give. You know, send portions to your brothers, to your sisters, to your household, things of that nature. And this is beautiful, man.
That's right.
Don't give a damn about Christmas, man. Christmas is folly.
And it's greedy. They don't send portions to the poor.
Right.
Yeah. They put cookies on the table for so-called Santa Claus, man.
No, for Bill. And
Fat man coming down your chimney with a big bag. With all red on it.
They want to
Yeah.
Coming
Kissing your
down
child
to
through the
fight.
night and eating the cookies, man, on the table.
He's feeling like what he doing.
You know, the sacrifices sound.
Got your.
You got all the presents under the
right,
tree.
sacrifices.
That's a sacrifice. It's something to sacrifice.
You probably memorize.
Cookies and
Yeah.
milk.
You know, so this is the real day of sending portions,
deliverance
gifts.
You don't bring no knowledge.
You know, so that, hey man, the Lord got rid of the Christmas. Now we celebrate Purim, man.
That's right.
Not to say there's any comparison, because there's no comparison.
No comparison.
But Purim is way better.
Right.
That's right.
Right? So if brothers out there
If
they got
anything,
children,
they job.
you know, brothers out there they got children, hey, go all out for your children on Purim, right? You know, they don't gotta celebrate Christmas.
Right.
You know, get that out of here, man. You got Purim.
We can get some for real.
That's right.
Per.
And you know what you're celebrating too.
That's right. You can break it down. You can give
Purr.
understanding to your children. And you ain't got a lot of your children talking about Santa Claus. You can say, you know what? This is why we celebrate this day, sweetie. Right? Son.
That's in Deuteronomy.
Right.
If they ask.
We'll bring it out. Deuteronomy 6 and 7. close out.
Time.
Close it out with that.
Bring it out, King.
All right, Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 7. And
Bring
reads
it out.
thus. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
Thou shalt teach these commandments diligently unto your children. Teach your children about Purim. Right? You just celebrate stuff you don't even know what it's about. Brothers got to know what these feast days about. Or at least be able to give you some brief understanding on it.
All right.
You asked the brother was Passover about. Brother, I haven't studied that much yet. Well, brother, that's milk.
But they know about, Esau destruction. And they just going
You
to
know
slay.
about Jacob's trouble all day, but you don't know about Purim. You saying, well, brother, what Purim? Brother, I don't know. I haven't gotten that deep. Well, brother, that's the milk. You know?
I don't know for us.
God.
You know? And it's real, though, man. You know? So we got to be able to break down these feast days and at least give a brief understanding on what these feast days mean. You got to go into the spiritual meaning behind it. You got
And shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes.
That's right. So give gifts to your children, man.
Right.
Break it down. Give them the understanding. Don't make it about greed either, man. Because Jake, the spirit of hop on Jake, making it about greed.
Right.
No, man, this is about helping out the poor as well.
Right.
You know? So the Most High so mighty, man.
For real.
He says sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor. So you always got to keep the poor up in there,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So all praises to the Most High, man. Come here, Shalom.
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 I'll turn it off.
You got it?
Got it up.